Hello, my friends. I am Sig Trent, game designer, co-creator of Everyday Hero, and barbarian editor at Sig Trent Games. Today I'm going to tell you about what's going on with Sig Trent Games here in week 38 of our operations. I will give you a little bit of game design advice, and I will talk about what I have been doing in gaming and in life in general. All right, week 38 of Sig Trent Games. Mostly I've been working on the mystery contract. I did talk to my mystery contractors and asked, hey, can I talk about this? I'm like, not yet. So I will be able to eventually, but this is not the time. So the big news, I've been working on that very hard, and I met my mid-project deadline. So halfway on the word count, halfway on the time span. I am exactly on track. I like to be a little bit ahead of the curve normally, but we had some things going on this week, and I've got a lot of other projects going on. So basically, I've been doing exactly what I need to do to stay on track, stay on target, and be on my deadlines. I always try to meet my deadlines. I won't say I always meet them, but I want to say 80-90% of the time I hit the deadline that I intend to or exceed it to some degree. So generally speaking, I'm proud of that. And happy on that project. I wish I could tell you about all the cool stuff that I've been writing, but I can't do that yet. It will come later. All right, Shotgun Fantasy has not gotten a lot of work, but I'm still in the editing process. I'm going to be editing more this week specifically and try to get some ground done on that since I met that other deadline. I got to go back and forth and prioritize different things. This week, hopefully, I will be renaming spells. That's an interesting process because when I started, I mostly started with the spell descriptions from the SRD for the ones that I was emulating because D&D has been around a long time. They have a good coverage of different kinds of spells. I did create some new spells that are entirely kind of my own creations, although I'm sure not entirely original ideas. It's pretty hard after millions of spells have been created over the years. But anyway, things that I thought were cool in my own designs, as well as many of the classics. And you need the classics. There are certain things that are tropes of fantasy that you just want to present. So at first I started with the standard names. I started fiddling with a little bit, and the more I worked on Shotgun Fantasy, the more I was like, well, although I want this to be totally compatible with 5e and usable in those systems, I think I also want it to be its own creature, and those spells that I am more or less emulating from the SRD do have a number of changes to fit into my system, so I felt a little more free to change the names of these spells to give them something that I thought was really cool and kind of fit a theme for Shotgun Fantasy. So I'll be doing some more of that and to get all the final names. And that, of course, anytime I mention the spell anywhere in an example or in a list for a class or something like that, it has to get changed to match everything up. Otherwise you get, hey, where's this thing that I see referenced here? It's not anywhere in the book. You want to avoid those situations. So renaming things needs to be done very carefully and very thoughtfully. So that's the main thing that I'll be working on this week for Shotgun Fantasy. I anticipate next week I will finish with my self-editing and be ready to hand that off to my editor. I don't know what their availability is right now, but should be pretty good, and it shouldn't take too long to edit because I try to do a good job of handing over a nice, clean manuscript to my editor, just hoping that they are just a little more good at seeing the mistakes that I made than I am and can fix those things up and also add their own expertise and writing skill to what I've written. All right, so that's that. Night Magic's nothing new to report this week, but that will be seeing some action pretty soon. Everyday Pirates, I'm going to be working on this week. I'm going to be doing the initial research in order to educate myself about the age of sail. One of the parts of doing my work that I really enjoy is the research. I will also be writing down early ideas. I've got some good ideas in my head about ship-to-ship combat and things like that, but I need to get them written down and get those ideas there, and also do a little bit more research again, maybe even on the way some other games have handled that to get some more inspiration. I'm going to take some ideas that we worked on for Intergalactic Heroes, not necessarily the rules themselves, but kind of the spirit of those rules, to incorporate that there and make it make sense. But it'll be its own thing because sailing ships are very different than starships and things like that, and add a little bit of my own spice in there. So lots of cool stuff, I think, coming for Everyday Pirates. I hope you look forward to it. I don't know exactly when that comes out. Maybe January, something like that. Anywho. That's all I got for Sig Trent Games this week, because most of my work is stuff I can't talk about the details, so that'll have to wait. All right, so what is the game design tip of the week this week? It is about self-motivation. So on weeks like these, where I have to get my head down, put my blinders on, and just focus on work, I sometimes need to motivate myself because I will start to go, oh, I don't like this when it's hard, and so like there are certain things that I think about in order to get my mind and spirit aligned up so that I can do the work and not only do the work, but put my passion into it, put my heart into the thing, and care about what I'm doing, right? So you don't always have to care about what you're doing in order to do good work, but for me, it certainly helps. So these are self-motivational tips. Now, these are my tips. So these are things that motivate me. So what are they? First of all and foremost, and the thing that inspired me to write this particular topic this week, is the love of seeing people playing my games and enjoying themselves. It's a simple pleasure, and it is perhaps, for me, the greatest pleasure of being a game designer. So I love the era of live plays, because anytime I want to, there are people playing Everyday Heroes, and I can go out and see and watch them play, even though I'm sitting here working on my manuscripts at the same time. So that's awesome and wonderful. There are things I just love about technology, and that's one of them. So I was watching a group playing a campaign for Kong Skull Island, and which is one of the settings that I worked on and primarily got to write. And one of the things that they were doing is they had a scientist in the group, because the Monsterverse is a very science-themed setting. And so when I created that, I really wanted to have ways for players to be able to interface with the Game Master about the science of what's going on. Now, the science in the Monsterverse doesn't always make sense. The Earth is hollow. Somehow that works. Has reverse gravity due to strange crystals, and there's all kinds of weird stuff that is, honestly, in a way, kind of nonsense, but they wrap around it as much sort of scientific jargon and concepts as they can. So that's really important to represent in the game, in the gameplay, and in the game rules. So one of the things I did to do that was invent a device called the MFAD, the Multi-Frequency Analysis Device. Very simple name, MFAD. Sounded pretty cool to me. And it's based somewhat on the King Kong vs. Godzilla film. You see them use some devices, and I think they use some weird little tablet-like devices in the other movies as well. But those weren't really given a name in the script, and they weren't talked about during the movie much. You just see people use them. So I wanted to give that a name, make it an object, and put it in the inventory, because this is like a key element. It's like the tricorder in Star Trek. How do they know about the cool science fiction things that are going on? The unique composition of the strange creature, these strange radio frequencies that we are detecting coming from the mountains over there, whatever it happens to be. The MFAD is the way that you get access to those things, and the way the Game Master can transmit that kind of hidden information to the characters in the story. So they were using the MFAD, and they were talking about it, and that just made me super happy. It's like a little thing. It's a tiny little thing. It's just like, a paragraph maybe, and there's a picture of one. But to me, that little detail was very important to me, and to see it realized in play, it just gives me a lot of pleasure. It was doing the job it was designed to do, and it was doing it well. It made me very happy. So I just like to see people have fun with the things I do, giving them enjoyment, inspiring them to tell cool stories, makes me feel part of that action. And it just sort of validates the worth of my work, right? Like, I designed it to do a job, and it's doing the job. Makes me super happy, as you could probably tell. All right, what else? I am very proud to see work be completed. So I like, I just throw out some ideas and something cool, and I think, oh, that's a pretty cool idea I had there. But that's totally different than taking that idea, polishing it, printing it, getting an illustration for it, putting it in a book, publishing it, getting into people's hands, right? So when I first got to see the printed version of the Everyday Heroes rulebook, man, I was over the moon excited, or at least as excited and over the moon as I get, which is maybe a little bit low-key, but trust me, inside, very happy. So seeing that book in print, tangible, could hold on to it, I could hand it to somebody, I can show, this is the thing that I did. That's just super exciting. And to know that that project was finished, and now I can move on to new and other interesting projects. I'll still work on Everyday Heroes, right? But that book, the core rule book, it is done. Now, would I mind revisiting it and making improvements? Sure, of course. But it's still a finished milestone that you could, if you decided never to do anything else with it again, say, I did that, it's done, it's complete, it's cool. That gives me a great pleasure. So whenever I am in the middle of a project and it is hard, and I'm like, oh, there's so much longer to go, and there's so much work to do, I think about visualizing that moment at the end of the project. I'll be so satisfied, and so that helps me keep going through it. You replace the bad feeling with the good feeling. All right, what else? There is a spiritual side to any creative endeavor, making games included, and it works kind of like this. So you, as an individual person, are small, the universe is incredibly grand. Now, I kind of like astronomy, and you learn that, hey, I'm just one human, there's a giant planet, planets in a giant solar system. Solar system is just one of billions of solar systems in the galaxy. The galaxy is one of trillions of galaxies in a galaxy cluster, and there are many galaxy clusters, and it goes on and on. The universe, it's very, very big. And you are very, very small. Should that make you feel insignificant and small? It could, but it doesn't for me. For me, I am a part of this grand, incredible thing. There is so much in the universe, and here I am experiencing it and contributing to it, making maybe a small part, but my small part, and I am part of the grand design, and that just makes me feel good. That is the spiritual feeling. And so by creating something that goes on to have a life of its own outside of my life, it goes on to inspire other people. Somebody puts it on their bookshelf, even if it's just a decoration in their life. They see it every day. They see the pictures inside. They read the words inside. It inspires them to tell stories. Maybe they go in to make their own role-playing games. Maybe they write an incredible novel, partly inspired by some of the characters in my game. Who knows what happens? Anything could happen. Somebody could just be having a really terrible day, and then they open up my book and they read a funny joke that I put in there, and they smile and they laugh and they feel a little better. All that stuff is wonderful. So it allows you to bridge the gap between self and the universe at large, and that is a wonderful spiritual feeling that I really enjoy. So I like to think about that. Next up is just doing the work is fun sometimes. So if I'm in the part of the work, some editing normally, going over a bunch of tables, trying to fill out the little data values and stuff, it's not the most exciting work in the world. It's not very creative. Or, I'm just having to run around, do a lot of emails, or balance the budgets, or do finance stuff, which is not too exciting for me. Is work that's got to get done. I just try to remind myself that there is a lot of other work that's super fun. And so the bad stuff is worth doing the good stuff, right? So what do I love about creating role-playing games? I love doing the research. I am a super curious person. I'm always listening to YouTube videos on random strange topics. I'll tell Anne about them. She's like, why are you listening to that? I'm like, I don't know. I'm curious about it. So any and every topic you can imagine, and maybe that makes me a good game designer. I don't know. But I love to do the research and to find out about history, find out about other games, other worlds of fiction that people have created, whatever it happens to be, so that I can get inspired and create something new. Or bring you some of those ideas, even if they're not new to the world. They're new to you, they're new to me, so they're worth sharing. Yeah, do that. So that part's really, really fun. I like playing with language. Over the years, I've gotten better and better at it, and I keep all my old work so that I can see where I started and where I'm at now. And I still enjoy a lot of things I wrote a long time ago, even like back when I was in grade school and stuff. I can at least see an element of what I'm doing now in that work then, even if technically I've gotten a lot more competent over the years. And so that's great. That's very satisfying to me. And just playing with that language and making it flow, making good jokes, making things clear and easy to understand, that's just pleasure to me. That craftsmanship, I guess. It's almost like other people say working with their hands they really enjoy. That hands-on part of writing I really like. One of the reasons I never use AI and don't really have any interest in doing it, because I just like that part of the craft, right? Satisfaction at seeing my improvement, which I talked about already, and also it's better than a lot of other kinds of work, right? So I think of all the other jobs I've had in the past, and I compare them to writing games, and I'm like, well, I could be doing those things. I would rather be doing this, even if it's hard sometimes. So that just helps keep you grounded and where you're at. Okay, next up, this is kind of a smaller one, but it is important to me, is the satisfaction of joining kind of in solidarity with game designers who have come before. So, as somebody who played Dungeons and Dragons, I really looked up to people like Gary Gygax and my friend Jeff Grubb and many other writers who have come before me in the RPG space who have created wonderful things. There so many people, I don't want to name too many people because then I'm going to, I left out these guys and these guys. But there's a lot of wonderful people in the gaming world that I really admire. And I love their works of creativity, and I had incredible fun with them. And I've always looked up to that and aspired to that in creating my own work. And now I've gotten to a point where I feel like I can count myself among other game designers. Now, I'm not on anybody's Mount Rushmore. I am not an epic grandmaster of game design or whatever by comparison to them. But I think I've proved myself worthy to at least be a part of the brotherhood and sisterhood, and hope to continue to aspire to grow the catalog of things that I've done and the work that I've done so that I can live up to the example set by them. And to be a part of the industry and to be a part of that creative process and a more giving part of the gaming community, as it were. So that's important to me, and it helps keep me focused on my goals. I like to go on like LinkedIn or go into other RPG communities and just see what other designers are doing and get that vibe. It gives me a little energy, and that gets me back in the motion to do my own creative work. Finally, this is important for any job, and gaming is no different. You do your work partly so that you can make a living by providing something of value to other people so that you can feed your family and take care of them. And so I love my wife dearly. We're going to talk about more about that a little bit later too. And so going to work and doing the job, whether it be working in the gift shop or doing this or anything else that I've done in my life, and I've had a lot of weird jobs, is partly done to feed my family and to take care of them. And to just contribute to society as well and to give other people something of value. So I don't reflect on that so much, but I felt like you can't really do one of these lists without mentioning it. So there it is. All right, next up, what have I been playing this week? Just a little bit of stuff, because like I said, I've been pressed pretty hard on deadlines. I do always like to, when I meet a deadline or get something done, reward myself with a little bit of play. Plus, I think I've said before, to be a game designer, you have to play games, you have to keep your passion for it, you have to love doing the thing that you're creating, right? So played Dungeons & Dragons Online, played a little bit with my guild Madborn. I had fun playing a character called Nimoy the Enterprising, who looks almost exactly like a young version of Mr. Spock. Now I'll say Mr. Spock is kind of a hero of mine. When I was a kid, sometimes life is noisy, emotional, and it felt a little overwhelming. And here was a guy who could set aside all that emotion, cut through the noise, look at logical solutions, use rationality to come at the best outcome. And that really felt like a comforting, refreshing breath of fresh air and more how I wanted the world to be around me. And so I aspired to that, and I think it informs my personality quite a bit. Maybe I'm just naturally inclined to that, or maybe Spock taught me this valuable lesson when I was a young boy. I don't know what the case is, but I really admire and like the character of Spock. I also really enjoy the actor Leonard Nimoy. He's a great guy. Now, as I got older, I also learned to appreciate Captain Kirk and his passion and energy, zest for life, willingness to defy the odds on occasion. I think ultimately life is kind of a yin and yang of Spock and Kirk. It's a silly thing, but I do kind of have that, and I wrote a whole article on it on my personal blog, if you ever feel like reading that nonsense. It's like the Tao of Star Trek or something like that. Anyway, geeky tangent, I have a character, it looks almost exactly like Spock from early Star Trek. And it's fun to play that character, and then people don't really notice so much, but they see your character, and then occasionally when you're standing around outside in a public area or you're getting ready to go on a quest, somebody else will look and they're like, oh my gosh, your character looks exactly like Spock. And you're like, yes, he does. And it just gives me a little pleasure. So I spent a couple of hours playing with the guild, and somebody did notice and commented on it, and I was pleased. Mr. Nimoy is also pretty good at doing traps, it turns out. Not the best at fighting compared to my comrades in the guild, but it's a character meant to be played solo, so he's a versatile character, does a little bit of everything, which means he's great at almost nothing, but it turned out he was built pretty well for traps currently. All right. What else? I played a little bit of Stellaris, just followed up on a game where I'm playing a group of basically genocidal necrophages that take over other living organisms, and any that they don't take over, they eat. They're terrible, but they've managed to take over the entire galaxy thanks to my sage guidance and strategic aggressiveness. So that was a fun game. I've never really done that before. I have like conquered the whole galaxy, but I usually conquer the galaxy like in the very late game as a part of a way to fight the enemy, because in the late part of Stellaris, some galactic threat will show up and chew on everybody, and then you can kind of, save the galaxy, and you get points. You don't actually have to save the galaxy to win the game. It can be eaten up. If you're just the last one standing with the most points, when the timer runs out, you win. But I don't like to win that way. I like to conquer the enemy, achieve whatever my group's sort of role-playing agenda is, whether that be to have incredible technology, to conquer the entire galaxy, to be a diplomatic friend that unites all the alien races in peace and prosperity, whatever it happens to be. It's kind of a role-playing game in that way. If I achieve that and I beat the end game threat, then I just call it good. I don't wait for the timer to go out. I'm just like, yep, I won the game. Great. But these guys, they eat everybody. That's their goal. And so I played super aggressively and managed to basically conquer the entire galaxy except for these guys that are like the fallen races before those fallen races awaken. And I had just finished my conquest, and one of the fallen races is finally awakened, and that's usually signals the late mid-game in Stellaris. And so I've already pretty much conquered everything except these guys. They should not be a problem for me. They always start with higher technology and usually with bigger fleets than you do. But by the time you get in that game, your economic engine should be enough that you can out-attrition them, outmaneuver them, and take them out. And I'm sure that will happen. I have a whole galaxy. They could be rampaging for 50, 60 years and only conquest half of what I've already taken. And they're not going to get away with it, I promise. So that should be pretty fun. Anyway, only played a couple hours of that. It was a reward for meeting my secret project deadline, and I much enjoyed it. All right. Anne has been playing on her Twitch channel. She's been doing Phasmophobia this week, hunting ghosts with great success. She's gotten all her badges unlocked, but she's still playing because she just loves that game, and it is a pretty cool game. I do recommend checking it out. However, today when she was playing a game called Liminal Core Chapter 5. If you don't know about liminal spaces games, you wander around in weird environments and maybe spooky things happen. She likes these kinds of games a lot, but she was having trouble figuring out where to go. Liminal spaces are also very confusing. They're not intuitive to navigate, and she's having trouble trying to figure out where she needs to go, what she needs to do next. So if you want to help Anne out, go on Nomad Anne when she is streaming and see if you can give her some clues. She will appreciate it. She likes that. I'm a little bad when I play this puzzle game. I really like to figure everything out for myself. And when I was streaming, people always want to give me help. And I'm like, I appreciate the help, but I want to figure it out on my own. So we have a very different attitude about that sort of thing. Anne's there for the experience. I'm there kind of more for the challenge. Anyway, we're going to be playing on her channel No Man's Sky together because our anniversary is coming up. A little mention of that later. And we're going to play No Man's Sky together. We like to find games that we can play together cooperatively. And apparently the last update for No Man's Sky had a really nice thing where you can be in the ships together and fly around. You don't really have a lot of shared goals necessarily, but you can make shared goals. And so we want to play that game and explore together. The last game we played quite a bit of together was Pal World, and also alongside of that Satisfactory, which are both great games to play with your friends, so check those out. But we'll be streaming No Man's Sky together, which is something we have not done yet, so that should be pretty cool. And we'll do it on our anniversary, well, not quite on our anniversary, but around the anniversary. And we will also be doing that in the future every couple of weeks or so. I'm not sure. We haven't set a schedule, but you can look out for that and come say hi. I know some of you have gone to say hi while Anne has been playing, and thank you very much for that. That's very cool. Thank you for keeping my wife company while I'm out at the gift shop. All right, life in general. Speaking of the gift shop, I've been working there. Winter hours are shorter than they are during the summer, so I get a little bit less moolah, but I also have more time to work on Sig Trent Games, so it's a good balance. I did cover for one of my fellow coworkers, so I worked a couple full-day shifts instead of my one full-day shift, and then multiple part-time shifts. I've been having a good time at the gift shop. Normally during the winter hours, it can be kind of boring, but I've been finding projects around the shop. I love process improvement. I like making things better. So I've just been trying to find junk that can get thrown away, find stuff that needs labels and gets organized so that when we come to the summer months and we're busy again, everything's exactly where you expect it to be. Everything's really nice and organized, and we can hit the ground running during the busy season without difficulty, and just the whole shop be a little nicer, a little easier for all of us to run. I don't know. So just trying to make some improvements around there. And I really enjoy when I can do that kind of thing, process improvement and stuff. Just one of my passions. So it's cool to be able to do that there. And it's kept me from getting kind of bored when there aren't a lot of customers. Also get more of a chance to talk to my customers. If they strike up a conversation with me and I don't have a bunch of people in line, then I can sit and talk to them a little bit about Ocean Shores, about life there, about, I don't know, whatever they're into, hobbies. We do have gamers that come in there because we have games in the store. So I can tell them about Sig Trent Games and what I'm working on. And I've met people very useful that way, and people that people I currently role play with here in Ocean Shores, I met them that way. So the shop has some cool opportunities. And maybe that's just a little bit of life advice. No matter what you're doing in your life, wherever you happen to find yourself, look for whatever opportunities you can. to get the most enjoyment and the most satisfaction out of whatever it is you happen to be doing. You don't always get to choose exactly where you are, and just try to make the most of it, right? Whenever you can. All right. Something talk about a little more serious, slightly political. Sorry about that, but I thought it was important because it's just part of my life. Has to do with finances. Has to do with Sig Trent Games, and it's what's going on in my life, and that's what this segment is about. So, one of the things happening because of the government shutdown, there will be no SNAP, food benefits, which help people who need a little bit of extra help with their finances. And that's the situation I am in currently, because working part-time at a gift shop does not pay the big money. Starting up a role-playing game company does not pay the big money. So I make the small monies right now. And it is helpful to have that extra assistance to buy food. Now, I try to use that money in the most efficient way possible. We've got a cool outlet store here in town that gets like discount merchandise because the boxes are damaged or somebody was overstocked on something. And they do a great job. And they also have fresh produce and stuff. They do a great job of getting stuff at really good prices, which, because I live out in the boonies, stuff often does not have really good prices. So I try to shop there and just make the most of the benefits that I get. I won't be getting those this month. That is not a hardship for me. I'm not here asking for your help or your sympathy. That's not what this is about. It's just kind of to relate, because there's a lot of politics that surround these kinds of benefits, and they help real people, people like me, people who are working, people who are trying to better themselves and using this moment of financial weakness to move towards a future where they have more financial strength and they can contribute to the system and pay back to that. And certainly I've had jobs making six-figure incomes. I put a lot of tax money into the system. And even people who can't or don't, or their life circumstances have made that impossible, these kind of benefits are helpful to them. So I think it's something worthy of support, both financially and politically. And so I wanted to speak about that because it touches my own life. I'm not going to be, again, I want to iterate, not in any real trouble. I try to, operate my life to where I have enough savings that when times are hard, I can survive on those. But these kind of benefits really help extend that, give me more time to develop the business without having to be desperate enough that I have to drop the whole enterprise and go do something else, right? So hopefully that works for the future. And, that's another motivation is the gratitude of the people who support the company directly. And just, the whole society, we all help each other. And that makes me motivated to work hard and to do good things. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I just thought I'd share. So on to back out of the political sphere. It is my anniversary on Halloween with my marriage to my beautiful wife, Anne. We've been married for 21 years now and knew each other for another 2-3 years before that. And so I'm just super excited about that. Marriage has been one of the very best parts of my life. Anne is a wonderful, incredible, beautiful partner who has made me happy and joyful, seen me through the best of times and the worst of times, as they say in the marriage vows. When I had leukemia and I was dying and I couldn't fend for myself, she and my friends took care of me. She means the world to me. Do anything for her. And all my creative efforts, in a way, are dedicated to my beautiful wife. So I'm happy to celebrate our anniversary this year. One of the things we're going to do is play No Man's Sky together. We're also going to feast on some nice stuff we got at the discount store, because they do get we got a wheel of brie for $10. We're talking pounds of brie for very small amount of money. It's a wonderful store. I love that place. Anyway, just because you're saving a lot of money doesn't mean you can't enjoy life. And so we're going to enjoy that feast, and we're going to have a good time and celebrate love and life. I love Halloween. That's why I got married on Halloween. There's a long story around our wedding. We actually had a couple of different weddings, but that was the one that we organized for ourselves and was the one where we officially got married, legally speaking. It was a great time. All my friends came. We all dressed up. I love Halloween for so many reasons. As a role player, it's just an opportunity to be other characters, to get out of your own skin, to express different sides of your personality, whatever it happens to be, and just have fun, have a good time, and be super creative, right? So I love the holiday, and getting married on that day makes it even more special for me. So this is always, in a way, the most special time of year. Now, of course, there's tons of work to be done. So, we have to take a little time out of our busy schedule to enjoy these things in life. And then get back to the game design. So that's it. I hope the rest of you have a wonderful, incredible Halloween. Have a great time. I hope the season is good for you. I hope you find love and joy and laughter and good gaming. Bye-bye.